The wait is finally over. Dallas Cowboys football is back in 2024. Welcome into Inside Cowboys Training Camp, driven by Ford. It is the first episode of training camp as we send the team off to Oxnard, California. Year number 45 on the West Coast. It is year number 64 of Cowboys football. Welcome in, everybody. Alongside Nicole Hutchison, I'm Kyle Youmans. I'm going into my 6th season with the Dallas Cowboys, and each and every year has its own identity, has its own expectations. And of course, there are some high expectations, some high criticism for this football team going into 2024. And you're going into year number 2. Feels like a lot has changed since the last time they were on the field.
Man, it has. And I mean, talking about going for year number 2 for me, I mean, really haven't even hit year number 1, but I'm really excited just to see the progression that these guys make, you know, from the start of the season to the end of the season. Last year, I kind of got thrown in the middle of the fire after the loss to the 49ers and just was kind of figure it out for myself. But now I'm excited to see this.
And that's exactly what Dallas is hoping to do in Oxnard, is figure it out for themselves. So they make the trip out there. They land today. And now you really take a look at practice schedules coming up. Mike McCarthy's not wasting a whole lot of time getting the team on the field. What are you most excited to see from this Cowboys team?
I'm excited to see these young guys, right? I mean, Jerry Jones made it very clear from the offseason that it's going to be up to these young guys to really set the standard and step up and be a lot older than necessarily, you know, being a rookie. So I'm excited to see those guys and how they perform, especially a guy like Kalen Carson. I know we're going to talk about him later in the show, but he's a guy that you have so much high expectations for. So I'm really looking forward to these younger guys.
You can see the sights and the sounds of packing up the semi-truck going out to Oxnard. 12 to 18 semis going out to the River Ridge Sports Complex right to the west of Los Angeles to provide Cowboys training camp 2024. But will they pack up and leave with CeeDee Lamb? That's going to be the next question. CeeDee, of course, going into the final year of his rookie contract, and still to this point, there is no deal done between the Cowboys and CeeDee Lamb. Do you expect a deal done over the next couple weeks?
I sure hope so. I mean, you look at the season that he had last year, first in catches in the NFL, second in receiving yards, and third in receiving touchdowns in the NFL. I mean, you look at what this guy has done for this organization, and he's clearly the real weapon for these guys. So I think that, you know, you don't want to see what training camp looks like without this guy. Not for 1 week, not for 2 weeks. You saw what that looked like with Zach Martin. They didn't get a deal done until August 14th of last year's training camp. So you really want this guy in training camp. You do not want to see him out of uniform.
Yeah, it was almost 3 full weeks without Zach Martin on the practice field last year. CeeDee Lamb could become the 4th wide receiver in the NFL to sign a deal of over $30 million on average per year, joining guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Justin Jefferson, and A.J. Brown from, of course, the NFC East rival Philadelphia Eagles. Now, there's a lot to talk about with this team outside of CeeDee Lamb, especially with Mike McCarthy going into the final year of his contract as well. But it's also year number 2 as a play caller. How do you feel like he's evolved in that role going into this season?
You look back at, you know, the beginning of the season in 2023, and this was a team or offense that was kind of built on the lack of explosiveness and just more so like quick, short hitting passes. But they kind of woke up, and that's shout out to CeeDee Lamb, you know, saying he needs that ball. And you look at how, you know, Luke Schoonmaker, I talked to him at Media Day, and he said that, you know, Mike McCarthy has so many great ideas. They just need to execute them, and they feel so much more comfortable and confident heading into this year.
They were top 5 in most of the major categories offensively in the 2023 NFL season. However, they did lose their left tackle, Tyron Smith, their center, Tyler Biadasz. There's some moving and shifting that's going to happen on that offensive line, and Mike McCarthy will have to find ways to avoid a setback on offense. They'll also have to find who's going to win these camp battles. You know them, you love them. It's a huge storyline going into each training camp. When we come back, we outline some of the best battles to keep your eye on this year.
Inside Cowboys Training Camp, presented by Ford, is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. This segment is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys.
Inside Cowboys training camp, driven by Ford, here from the Star in Frisco. Welcome back in, everybody. Alongside Nicole Hutchison, I'm Kyle Youmans. It is episode 1, which means we have to talk camp battles. There are battles at each position group, some more significant than others, but we've got to take a look at the 3 most important. Let's start things off at the quarterback position. Cooper Rush has been established as the backup. Trey Lance going into year number 2 with this program. How can Trey Lance battle with Cooper?
I mean, he's been working this offseason. I mean, he's made it very clear he's been working with the quarterbacks guru, Jeff Christensen, who's actually been known for working with Patrick Mahomes, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But when you talk about Trey Lance and his confidence, he feels so much more confident. He made that clear to me in media day. He said that he's been working with the guys, getting familiar with the guys, and he finally had his first offseason. He came in and just kind of thrown into the fire like myself, and just had to make himself more, working with the guys as far as like throwing to them and things like that. So I feel like he's very confident. And this offseason is going to determine the trajectory of his career, and he knows that.
No doubt about that. Former top 5 pick who will see his first snaps in a Cowboys uniform after he was traded for going into the final week of the preseason last year. Now, what about the guys snapping the football? The center position undecided. Tyler Biadasz now with the Washington Commanders. Now it's between a rookie and Cooper Beebe, 3rd-round pick out of Kansas State, or Brock Hoffman, who showed some promise last year. Who do you feel like has the edge?
Ooh, this is hard, because if you're talking about a guy who's been in the system and who understands the protections, you're talking about Brock Hoffman, of course, right? He proved himself when in his starts, and he produced 2 of the team's top 3 performances in 2023, looking back at that season. But if you're talking about Cooper Beebe, you look at Tyler Biadasz first, and he had this intelligence to him, his physicality, and Cooper brings that to the table. And I feel like he understands that. Again, another young guy that Mike Solari is going to have to be confident in coming into this year, and I think that Cooper Beebe has this.
Yeah, both of those guys really reliable, so it's a good problem to have for 2 young centers moving forward. How about the running back position? Do you feel like running back is a legitimate battle right now, or is it going to be a multitude of guys?
It's going to be a multitude of guys. I mean, but they also brought in Ezekiel Elliott because they didn't have that physicality, that size, and he proved that when he went away to the New England Patriots. But you also look at Rico Dowdle, who had one of his best seasons in a Dallas Cowboys uniform, averaging 4.1 yards per carry behind Tony Pollard, his first healthy season since his time in South Carolina. So, I mean, it's going to be a battle, but I think that it's going to be an interesting one for sure.
No doubt about that. And, of course, practice probably won't be enough to decide the running back position. It'll be the preseason games where we see the majority of the tailbacks. When we come back, it's time to give some camp hot takes. What are the biggest and boldest predictions we've got going into Oxnard?
This segment was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys. Inside Cowboys Training Camp, presented by Ford, was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
All righty, everybody, take out your notes. Take some notes on the training camp schedule, blue and white practices, the scrimmage with the Rams, and then, of course, preseason action, the Cowboys, Rams, the Cowboys, Raiders, and then they return back home to face the Chargers at AT&T Stadium. We wrap up episode number 1 of Inside Cowboys Training Camp, presented by Ford, with Nicole Hutchison, who will take you the rest of the way in Oxnard, California. I will join you out there in a couple of weeks. I'm Kyle Youmans. Hot take real quick. What's your bold prediction for Training Camp 2024?
I'm going Kalen Carson is going to outperform all the rookies this training camp.
All the rookies?
All the rookies.
Well, not my guy, Marshawn Nealon.
Oh, wow.
I think by the end of camp, Marshawn Nealon will be the 2nd best pass rusher on the entire Cowboys defense behind Micah Parsons. Not anything against DeMarcus Lawrence. I just think that's how good Marshawn Nealon, the 2nd-round pick out of Western Michigan, will be in his rookie season. So much intrigue, so much pageantry. The Cowboys are back on the practice field. We will be back tomorrow from Oxnard. For Nicole, I'm Kyle Youmans. See you next time on Inside Cowboys Training Camp.